It can feel at times as if everyone in the world is far too busy for a meaningful conversation, or simply too worried about what might happen if they actually did have one. It is my goal with the Mindful Image Project to offer a story with a photo, to give a voice to a face, and to show my appreciation for what I consider to be one of life's greatest gifts, the ability and freedom to simply say hello, and then follow that hello a bit further down the rabbit hole. With that in mind, I say to you, hello stranger, hello old friend, let's talk. Hello and welcome to the very first podcast from the Mindful Image. This is going to be a project that is usually going to be dealing with strangers that I do not know. But, I got a few friends that I really want you guys to hear about. So one here is my friend Stewart. He is both a fitness instructor and a life coach, or a fitness life coach, if you will. And, we're going to find out a few things about him. So, hello, Stewart.
Hey, Ryan, how we doing, man?
We're doing fantastic today. Thank you very much for that breakfast, man.
Thank you for coming, bro.
Yeah, that was epic. All right, well, I guess everyone knows your name, so let's go to let's give them the basics of this one. So, how old are you?
Turned 60, December 1657.
And how old do you feel?
I feel actually 35.
Nice.
I feel great. I think most people struggle with my age, and I do struggle with it for some strange reason.
Do you associate that feeling because of your fitness, like your lifestyle and being as healthy as you are? Or?
I believe that's a factor involved there. I think obviously the more you take care of yourself, the better you do feel. The healthier you do eat, the better you do feel. So, that's a big factor, I believe. The other part, I think, is also state of mind as well. I think you can have a healthy mind, and obviously you need to be emotionally fit as well, besides being physically fit. And I think if you have all those three together, I feel like 35 years old.
Awesome. You knocked 25 years off your life. That is fantastic.
And I'm going to keep trying to knock some off.
Oh, good. Fantastic. Where do you currently live?
I live in Calgary. Moved from Montreal 6 years ago. Moved out to Calgary, obviously, for job opportunities, as well as the politics in Quebec, as most people know, is just not what it is anymore. So love it here in Calgary. Pretty much this is home right now for me, yeah.
And you weren't born in Canada?
No, I was born in beautiful Belize. Parents came to Canada, I guess I was around 4 or 5 years old. Most people ask why, but of course they come out for opportunities too back in the day, right? So.
Yeah, most people do ask why when it comes to that. Everyone associates Canada with being so cold and Belize with being so hot, but I imagine there's probably good pros and cons to both places.
You're right.
All right, at this point, what is your dream job?
My dream job, honestly, is to really have develop a coaching lifestyle for people, and obviously teach coaching and teach people personal training. But my dream job is obviously working for yourself and developing a concept gym that I'd like to develop, which would be more of a theme gym. I can't say much more about that, but it would be a theme gym. And that,
keep it in the realm of secret.
Yeah, a bit of a secret right now. But my dream job would be to not just help people get fit, but help people develop a lifestyle. And we use that word so much, but life is a lifestyle. So, yeah.
I like that. Life is a lifestyle. I believe that everyone is an artist. What would you consider to be your art form?
My art form is, I would say, a mixture of poetry. I love motivational speaking, and it's a mixture, I would say, poetry, parable, paradoxes, short stories, all in one. And so my art form is basically a way of obviously expressing yourself in sharp, witty, motivational sayings that I feel that would impact people's lives and help change their lives.
That seems very very similar to your son Zaire.
Yes, yes.
A spoken word poet here in Calgary.
He is, yeah, he is, and it's growing. It's something he loves to do. He's really great at it. He's doing a lot of shows here in Calgary. He's becoming well known as a spoken word artist, and he'll be actually traveling out to Vancouver soon for a show out there. So yeah, he's making a name for himself in that field.
And what are the chances we're going to see father and son a joint venture at some point here? Maybe do a show together.
Actually, he challenged me. He's got a show coming up. I think it's in, he's wanting to plan a show, I should say, with some other artists, an evening show, and he's actually invited me to do one of my motivational talks there. So that's a project that will be probably coming up pretty soon. So yeah.
So you're going to meet that challenge?
I'm going to meet that challenge. So him and I will be obviously sharing the stage at some point. So yeah.
Who and what inspires you?
There's a number of fantastic. Well, first of all, I have to say, growing up, my mom has been instrumental in my life in many ways. She's just a very strong woman. She's 84 years old now, and ever since I've known her, of course, being born, she's been such a positive person, just a motivational person. So she's definitely one of them for sure. My brothers, my sisters. And then some great writers that I love, Miles Monroe, John Maxwell, Think and Grow Rich. So a lot of good books in my life that have helped shape my motivational journey.
Well, that segues well into the next part, which is there a band, a book, and a movie you think I should check out? And let's start with the band.
Lately, my son Zaire turned me on to Erykah Badu. I'm not sure if you know her. I
actually am familiar with Erykah Badu.
Yeah, and so I just love her jazzy, cool, smooth jazz. So yeah, I've been listening to a lot of her lately. Of course, there's lots of other bands, but I really like Erykah Badu. I like her story themes. I like her smoothness and how she delivers her I would say her messages in a way. So yeah, I'm really liking her.
Okay, well I've not heard her since, as I said, familiar, but I haven't heard her stuff since like probably when she came out and she was really popular. And
right.
I haven't heard anything new, so I will definitely make a note of that.
Yeah. Awesome.
And what about a book? What book should I be reading?
Honestly, there's so many books out there, but one that I find that's pretty cool is Think and Grow Rich. Of course, I believe it came from some of the other great writers who wrote back in the 1900s or so. But that book is a timeless book. It just, without giving any secrets away, it basically tells you if you have a dream, it tells you how to realistically put that dream down on paper and get busy making it happen. It doesn't fall out of the sky. So you've got to make it happen. And that book covers a lot of how to.
Okay. I keep actually running into people who that seems to be the book that's sitting beside them at the coffee shop and stuff. Like, it's amazing how if you look for that book, you see it everywhere.
Like a car, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm sure there's some major value to it. And
yeah.
Once I get past this book I'm reading called Lion, I'll jump into that one.
Yep.
And movie. What movie should I check out?
Well, I haven't. I honestly, I don't know if you saw the latest Star Wars one, but
I did see the latest Star Wars one. Yeah,
I like that one. And then, of course, the newest one that I haven't seen yet is the Black Panther, and apparently that one is supposed to be getting huge reviews. So I haven't seen it, but I'm inviting you to see it and check it out because I saw the trailer and I just thought it was fantastic. So
I think they put no stops on this movie. From what I can tell, it's the story, the CG. I think it's safe to say it's also being a predominantly black movie. Is that
that's cool. That's a good term.
I don't want to come off sounding racist or ignorant. I'm just saying that
Yeah.
But, I think that in itself is a revolutionary idea. And I think that speaks volumes about the world itself because, and I've had this conversation with people. Yeah. Actually, just over the last week, it's been this conversation of the world being the way it is, which is it doesn't seem to be changing. And people are like, the world's rough and it's not as good as it used to be and all this sort of stuff. And I keep telling people, like, you need to pay attention to the amount of revolutions that have happened even in the last 100 years, like the sexual revolutions, the spiritual revolutions, the gender revolutions. Like, you can't look at the world right now and tell me that we haven't been evolving as a species.
Right.
In the sense of just trying to get equality. We know equality it's not there. It's not easy to get. Mm-hmm. It's not a long-term manageable thing. There's always going to be a sense of this person being a different color, that person being a different color, and somebody getting a bit more of the cake, so to speak, right? Me speaking from a white man's point of view, it's I can tell you that from what I see, Black Panther is obviously something special to society. Yeah. And I think it means more than just a Marvel movie this time around. I actually think it means another revolution is happening, and I think this movie understands that revolution is happening, and I think for that reason I'm really looking forward to watching it. So
yeah, I think just on that note too, I believe you're right for sure. I mean, you look at Obama, right, being the president. We see whether it's Tiger Woods in golf. Black Panther is a shift over of, I believe, superheroes can be of any color, if you want to use that term. Yeah. Any race, be it male, female. So I think equality is being, I think if something is true, there's a saying though, it goes, no truth can be broken and no lie can be binding. So eventually if something is true, it will come out to be true. If something's a lie, it will come out to be a lie. And so I think what we're seeing in society right now is a blend of everybody being able to contribute to the human experience, regardless of color or background. And I think this movie, as many others, are bringing that balance, I think, back to society, which we need. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody wants to contribute, be it a poet, regardless of color. It's about being able to contribute your art, your expression, and I think that's what's happening.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think that as you get older, you definitely see racism and stuff is such a ridiculous concept. It makes no sense whatsoever, right? Like, when you're younger, you kind of define those lines by, you're different, and for that reason, I have to be against it. But as you're older, you're like, being different's a good thing. Like, sure. How boring would this world be if it was just like everyone looked the same, everyone liked the same stuff? I mean, everyone loves knowing that the band they're into is like their band, right? Or their favorite movie is like not loved by everybody else. Like, people love having differences. Right. But for some reason, when it comes down to the racial thing, it's like there's this division of thought. It's like, well, I think I should push this entire culture away, because they're different. It's like, you should embrace that culture because they're different. I
mean, I think the challenge, those might just be tools to be used with the underlying fact of it's about power and control, right? So if you move power and control and it becomes a shared thing, you'll welcome differences because they're here. I mean, if we just ate all broccoli every day, I mean, even the vegetables know there's differences, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Even the animals know there's differences. You have trees and flowers, and we do too. But the question is that it's about who's going to control wealth and who's going to control all that. So once that breaks down, we realize that this planet's for all of us to share. And
that's a good note, and quite a conversation based on a Marvel movie. So congratulations, Marvel. So what is the most secret thing you are willing to share?
Oh, the most secret thing I'm willing to share. That's a tough one because, when I was a kid, I was deathly afraid of dogs.
Oh yeah?
Terribly.
Like all of them, like big ones, small ones, any dog?
They could be as small as A worm, but mostly the big ones. Apparently, my mother said when I was younger, if I would see a dog about a block and a half away, I would literally jump on her back and try to climb on top of her shoulder. That's how bad it was. And so, and even now, I just I still a bit leery of them. I don't know why, but yeah, that's out there. There you go.
I like how you said, like, when I was younger, this was something I was afraid of. And
Yeah.
you snuck in that, well, I'm still kind of scared.
I think now I can defend myself a little more. I don't need my mother right now.
That's funny. What is something you wish people would notice about you?
I'm actually a cool guy, and you know, it's cool to hang. I find that people are so rushed in our society that they don't take the moment to actually find out who somebody is, hang with them, and enjoy their company. I find that it's business, work. But at the end of the day, a little short story. I do post-construction cleaning, residential cleaning. We went to a house the other day. I went and I was met a couple there, and the guy is 95 years old, and his wife was in her 70s or maybe a bit more, and was talking with them. And so I said, "So how are you enjoying your day? You got new projects?" He goes, "Man, I'm bored out of my skull. I'm bored out of my mind, you know." And he goes, I'm 95, and I've done all those projects in the past." And I left there thinking, you know, he's actually in really good health, both him and his wife, but he's 95, and he you know, very intelligent, very well spoken still. I mean, there's nothing physically wrong with him in that sense. And I just found out here are all these people at these different ages, and they seem locked away in their apartments and their condos, and you know, very little interaction with people, because I guess people's lives are so busy. So what I want people to know about me is, like, you know what, let's just find out who I am, and let's chill out and talk, and, you know, don't be afraid to meet people and talk with them. You know, just simple as that.
Which is good, because that puts a spotlight on what we're doing here.
Right.
I mean, the mindful image is specifically about that very thing. I love stories that people have. I love finding out about people. I think the most interesting thing on the planet seems to be just how people are living it.
Yeah.
You know, this experience, and everyone, no matter how similar they look, they're just vastly different.
Yeah.
And you know, I know people who have retired and went into depressions through retirement, and they just don't know what to do. It's almost like they spent their whole life in the machine, working for the money, working for the man, and they planned for the money part of it, but they didn't plan for the emotional part of it.
Yeah.
So they got money, but they have nothing to fill their cup at the end of the day.
Yeah.
I'm a really huge spokesperson for the artist community. You know, like, I will spend my life pursuing arts and telling people they can follow their arts, because that will fulfill you.
Yeah.
If you see somebody painting in their 60s, in their 70s, in their 80s, they're generally pretty happy about life.
Yeah. And this guy also said too. He said, "I've been retired for 30 years." So I'm like, "You've been bored for 30 years?"
It could have been. That is a dark question to ask.
That's a dark
that
question,
man.
but I didn't ask. But I just thought it. You know, like, wow, okay.
Oh, well, you can't go into your retirement years with that mentality, I'll tell you that.
Oh, most definitely not. No.
What is something you'd consider to be one of your greatest achievements?
I'd have to say my 4 boys. I just think they're just phenomenal guys. They've got a good head on their shoulders. They're following their dreams, at least working towards following their dreams. Yeah, and then second of all, I just think, you know, so far I have no regrets how I've lived some parts of my life, in terms of I've kind of always done some adventurous things, and those adventurous things give me the feeling of that, you know, I've accomplished some things that I feel good about. You know, I cut no corners with myself. I can't say that, you know, there's different parts to our dreams, and I'm probably in another phase or another chapter now of where I'm at now. So I think your dream evolves, it grows, and you grow with it.
Well, speaking of that current, you said you're another part now. So we talked about this before. I mean, obviously, I know what's been going on in your life and such things, but
Yep.
Now that you're in this second part of your life, what did you call it before? I forget how you mentioned what you considered this part of your life to be.
Wow. Well, the first thing, the way I look at it is a state of mind for myself. And then I look at my potential. When we talk about age or we talk about something, I have to put the brakes on age because age is not a factor. It's whether you feel you've lived to your full potential, and if you still have all of that potential yet to live, then I feel that inspires you to accomplish whatever you need to accomplish. And I think once we remove all the distractions and the whys we can't and all of the limitations, honestly, I believe that people can actually really live their dreams. It just doesn't come in the package that you think it should come in, or it doesn't look the way you think it should look. So this part of my life is about my potential.
All right, it's a very big theme for you this year because you're working on a new book right now.
Yeah, I'm working on a new book, and we're challenging each other on that. So it's a motivational book. It's going to take maybe a different turn with it, have some different ideas that you and I both spoke on. So the book is evolving. I've already into 7 chapters of it, but obviously it's as you're taking a journey in a book, you discover new ideas, new ways to say things, new way to create things, and then you're not satisfied until you go, aha, that's the book.
It's true. It's absolutely true. I find it to be such a strange concept that you can have an idea in your head of what you think the book's going to be about.
Yeah.
And somewhere within like chapters 3, 4, 5, your brain just goes, wait a second, we're gonna meander down this way, and then the book just starts changing and it becomes this mess, and you're like, no, like get back to the line, right? And then I realized that every writer and anyone in Hollywood who ever talked about screenplays and stuff, they all say the same thing. The best you can do is have a real solid theme, a skeleton, if you will, and then hopefully by the time you're done, you can see that theme. That's about the best you can do, right?
Yeah. I mean, the way I look at it too is like, obviously we've all been hiking, and years back I've gone hunting and stuff, and I remember, you see this beautiful, it's a sunny day, it's early morning. I mean, the sun is shining through the trees, and it's just so magical, and you see this crazy cool winding path, and for some weird reason I'm going to go down that path. It's just the light shining just the right way on that path, and I got to go down there. And as you're going down that path, and suddenly over to your right you see another one that looks just as bright, and you turn to your left, another one just as good, and you're like, okay, what do I do? So in the journeys of our life, or writing a book or whatever, you're going down a path, but all of a sudden you go, oh, this chapter actually should look like this, or this next chapter should look like that. And if you don't go down that new idea for that chapter, you might be robbing yourself of something ingenious happening.
It's true.
So,
and you should always be open to potentially rewriting the book if something
right.
stronger comes around, right?
Yeah, so, I like that word, yes.
All right, well, it makes me want to go home and start working on my book again.
Yeah, I hear you, man.
All right, here's an interesting one. Are you currently happy, fulfilled, or other?
Well, fulfilled in a sense that my future is bigger than my past. We've all have a story. We've all had moments that we do regret. Some tragedies, of course, some good, bad, the ugly. But I think for happiness, it's something that's external. It happens. It's something external stimulates you. So right now I can say there's times where I've not been happy. But then again, if you interpret that, what does it look like when you are happy versus when you are fulfilled? So I feel fulfilled that I know my future is bigger than my past and bigger than our obstacles and situations. Am I happy in current situations? I don't think anybody is, but those situations are not permanent. And I think if you have the emotional feeling that they're permanent, then I think when you get up each day, you will be not happy. But if you know that they're not permanent and your future is bigger, you'll wake up feeling more satisfied because now you're moving towards something you love and something you want to do.
So it's pretty safe to say that you're a little bit of column A, B, and C?
Yeah, that'd be a way
Okay.
to put it. Yes.
You took the long way around on that one. But that's good.
I did. So sometimes we have to, right?
Yeah, I agree.
It's food for thought.
that light in the path just took you.
It just took me, so I kind of went down that one.
That's funny. What's something you'd like to dispel in the health community? Like something that's you feel might be getting perpetuated wrong, as well as something that you think is being reinforced that's right. I guess making it easy for somebody, because the average person wants to be healthy, but they don't necessarily know how to get there. You know, do they read this big book that has 19 chapters of how the body works, or do they go to this person who's got a 5-minute workout? You know, what do you think for the average person would work to put them on a healthy path? You know, like, can you give us something that you would say is perpetually a bad idea that's being promoted, and can you give me an idea that would be something you'd want to reinforce?
Yeah, so that's just a lot of loaded questions there, and I don't think in one sitting we can cover all of it. It's just the industry is just so big, but the flavor in my mouth about trying to sell fitness, I don't like the sales aspect of trying to sell fitness, but I believe in fitness. I just don't care for those types of approaches because of the sales of trying to sell fitness or even eating healthy. What I think is important is that individuals need to take a little more responsibility for their health as well as for their eating. A lot in our society, we're relying on people to help us, and you do need coaches, and by all means, I'm not saying don't, you do. But at the same time, it's a balance as well. So the everyday individual needs to inform themselves, not with the dieting industry, but with the understanding of how food works. Right. And there's some good books out there as to how food works, because once you understand how food works, and don't forget, since the 60s and 70s, fad diets and eating diets have all been around for years, and still a lot of people struggle with all that. And I think people they want a quick fix. There's no such thing as a quick fix, right?
Right.
But get a hold of a good book like How Food Works and then How Your Body Works. And I believe that somebody's serious about really taking care of themselves and preventing a lot of stuff in the next 5 to 10 years of your life, those two books will help you for sure.
That's great. What advice would you give your younger self?
Don't be quick to make decisions. Don't think you're stuck every time you're in a situation. And be careful who you choose as your friends. And lastly, pay attention to the journey that you want to take versus the one that people believe you should take.
Right. That's an interesting thing, that concept that even when somebody doesn't tell you what you should be doing with your life, you still feel a pull of what you should be doing with your life, and it seems to be tied up with other people's opinions.
Yes.
There's a great subconscious out there that seems to permeate even the quietest, most meditative mind. I feel it all the time. I'm not sure if it's the movies we watch, the music we listen to, the books we read. I'm not sure what it is in society that makes us all feel like you have to have a house and you have to have this and that and be married and whatever the thing is. And you run into just a bunch of people who say they have dreams and they don't achieve them. And you're like, where does that come from? Where does that desire to, fill up column A, but not to do this one other thing that's you're really passionate about,
Yeah.
It almost seems like you have to lose a lot in your life to finally free yourself to the point where you're like, okay, now I'm going to write that book I wanted to write. Now I'm going to do this. But it seems like this content society seems to be so focused on just making somebody else happy. I don't know who that person is.
Yeah, I think if you look at some of other cultures, be it Africa or deep into Asia and into the countryside and into the woods and all that type of stuff, and a lot of them, they're not influenced by the things we're influenced here in North America. We're actually, I think the scary thing is that if we strip away everything that we know of all the influence, we'd actually be scared because we wouldn't know what to do with ourselves, right?
Right.
But so because we're influenced by all these things, they're just triggers. So we're programmed to have a house, programmed to do this, programmed to do. The industry is looking for these types of jobs, so therefore the universities set these types of curriculums and all that kind of stuff. And so we end up saying no to that deep artistic pull towards something that's not been done, and then we wrestle, as you said, with this kind of subliminal, subconscious control that we can't put our finger on. Is it coming from space? Is it coming from Mars? Why do I feel this way? And I remember reading this story, a very short story. It was about this little baby eagles. They fell out of their nest and ended up in a field with turkeys, and they ended up getting raised by turkeys. And
wait, is this a real story? Or
this is a real book. This is called...
It's not like some children's story where they bake bread halfway through or something like that?
No, it's a children's story. It's called Turkeys and Eagles by Peter Lord. And so the eagles end up, growing up with turkeys, and then one of the eagles, one day sees this bird flying in the sky, and he just feels this innate pull inside of him that he should be flying. And then he goes and talks to the turkeys about it, and the turkey master in school tells him, "Nah, it's just a bad feeling. You should be out here with the rest of us, get busy pecking the ground," and so on and so forth. So,
wait, you just said this is real. There's talking turkeys, talking eagles. What?
It's a book.
Okay, wait. So the story of the eagles falling. Oh wait, the book's real. Okay.
It's a real book. It's a real book. So it's a story.
Let's get on the same page.
It's a real book of a story of our individual lives told in the analogy of turkeys and eagles.
Okay, so you have these eagles that have fallen out of the tree, and they're now living among the turkeys.
Correct.
And one of the eagles sees another eagle in the sky flying, and he just has this innate feeling of that's what I should be doing.
Exactly, and it turns out that he's really is an eagle, and he's not a turkey, not insulting anybody, but we're talking about conforming to things that are not really who we are, in a nutshell.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense too. I mean, I think you kind of are, affected by the people. Your tribe would be the people you hang out with the most, right?
Yeah.
We just watched that podcast with Will Smith and him explaining the Rumi quote that essentially says, like, figure out who you're hanging with, look to your left, look to your right. And
exactly.
Are these the people who fan your flames, or are these the people who, as you would say, piss on your flames?
Right.
I guess it makes sense that you are who you hang with, and there's no way that isn't 100% the actual law.
Yeah, I don't know how we break those laws, as long as you said, or as Will said too, is that we can't get away from having our tribes and people, and we're social people. But again, who's helping you to succeed, and who are you helping to succeed?
Yeah, that's something I've been thinking about lately, is the importance of being in service to your fellow man, so to speak. I think as I'm getting older, I'm starting to realize the importance of helping other people more than helping myself. I feel it's greater to helping myself if I work on helping somebody else, right? Mm-hmm. The trick is who do I want to help, right? You kind of have to help the people who are in line with you, because then it becomes authentic.
Yeah, I think along the way you meet those people. I think we're all gifted in such a way that you, like a lawyer solves legal problems, a dentist solves dental problems. So I think as we go about life, we run into people that we're gifted to actually help. And then I feel it becomes authentic, because if you're not a doctor or a dentist, you can't solve a legal problem unless you're a lawyer as well. You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
So I think the gifts that we were born with is for those people that we're there to help.
I'm curious what your thoughts are on this. So I have a personal thought about motivation.
Mm-hmm.
And since you are yourself a life coach, I want to see your thoughts on this. I'm running into a wave of people, it seems to be on a daily basis. I'm running into people who sell motivation like they would sell anything else, right? Like here's the pamphlet, here's the books you read, here's the music you listen to.
Right.
Make sure that you say these things every single day and you'll be better.
Right.
And it's always comes down to, don't worry, it'll get better. Life is grand, life is great. Relax, everything's okay. And I like that. But I also feel that people are not embracing the other side of it. People aren't embracing that it's okay to be angry about something, or it's okay to be desperately sad about something, and it's okay to have thoughts that feel scary.
Right.
And when it comes to motivation, do you feel like it's okay to embrace your anger if you have it and to do something with it? Or do you feel that you should be getting rid of any sort of negative emotion completely? Like, do you feel there's a value in the negative emotions that make you seek motivation? Mm-hmm. Or do you feel that that's detracting from just simply being an optimistic person and being happy all the time?
The way I look at it, and it's just my feel of it, obviously others may have a different, I would say, opinion about it, but I always look at something as we're a total human being, and I kind of strive for balance. I think if anything is out of balance, then it moves into a destructive thing, be it a good feeling or a bad feeling. Just because something is good doesn't mean you should over-excess in it because it's good, right? Or something is bad, should you over-excess in something that's bad? Because both of those things could, even in that good, it could still lead you to a false sense of reality if it's so good. And if it's so bad, it could lead you into a false sense of reality that it's really bad. But I think striking a balance is important for individuals. And so if you're having real feelings of anger and this and all that, the key thing is not to let those things get out of balance to the point where they become destructive to yourself or others or things around you. And so I think in my opinion, what society hasn't done, or maybe in the learning establishments, they've taught us to be academic, but they've not taught us how to be emotionally fit. And so we get out in real life societies, and now we're faced with, we're looking for a job, we're academically smart, but life throws emotional things and we don't know how to handle, because those places are not schools of showing you how to be emotionally fit or mentally fit or even physically fit.
Right.
It's more about how smart you are and how about getting a job, and because of course we need you to work for us. I mean, that's the way it is. So when we find people who now are emotionally out of balance or mentally out of balance or physically out of balance, we don't know what to do with them. And so it creates an industry now where we're seeing motivational books like you're saying here, and it seems like there's a whole sale and selling and feel good. And the feeling good stuff, you need that positive stuff. I guess it's try to bring into balance the negative stuff that you've had, but then you could be oversaturated with that and not face the reality of somebody who said, hey, I'm legitimately angry because this happened in my life. What do I do, you know?
Yeah.
And so we need to bring that person into a balance versus just giving them all the sugar-coated sayings, because then it doesn't help them to deal with that anger or that upset or that whatever the case is. And so I think there needs to be a whole shift on understanding how do we work with that total individual and not just on hyping something up.
Reminds me a lot of I would say probably one of my favorite artists on this planet, which is Maynard Keenan of Tool. And he recently did a speech. I think recent, it could have been 2 years ago, but I recently found it.
Right.
And he's talking about the importance of living within the area of friction. He says where people generally don't want to be within the friction area. They
Right.
want to avoid that. He said, but you understand that when you go through friction, something major happens. He said, like when a woman has childbirth, there's a lot of friction there.
Right.
He goes, but then for that, you have this lifetime following it of this great thing.
Right.
And that's just one example of the many that he gave. But I think, in my opinion, and what you're just saying there was, learn to understand why you're angry and work with it.
Correct.
And that's part of your friction.
Right.
You don't have to be like, an asshole to people. You don't
Right.
have to. You don't have to be going around, punching people in the face. I'm not saying that, but
Right.
it makes the most sense to me to stop treating life as if the reason it's not great is because you don't act as if it is.
Right.
Like, for a lot of people, life is hard, and they lose people. They lose family members, and they have people that they're married to betray them, and they have bad things happen, and they get diagnosed with cancer on a Sunday when they were planning on going on vacation on Monday. And this is the life we live.
Yeah.
And I feel like with the motivation, we're really being taught by a lot of people to avoid everything friction related.
Right.
And I'm happy to hear that you are talking about the balance and the importance of finding that balance. And
Yeah.
that's a lot of good advice there, and I really hope people take to that advice.
I mean, it's something that I try to aspire in my life to. Only, you want to strike for that balance in your life.
Will that be a theme that will run through your book at all, like that balance?
Yeah, yes, it definitely will. That balance will be there because, as I said, if we're not mentally fit, emotionally fit, physically fit, that's the balance right there of all those things. The reasons why people, let's say, for instance, are not in the shape that they want is they're out of balance with their bodies or so on and so forth, emotions and all that. And so we can't expect society to give us that. We can't expect our learning institutions to give us that. I think that's something we're born with, and we need to understand how to tap into those things and take care of your body. You can look good outside, but how are you emotionally? How are you mentally? And so that's what we want to talk about, that balance. So my book will cover pretty much a lot of that.
Right, so it's super important that people are paying attention to the whole picture, that they are physically taking care of themselves, they are mentally taking care of themselves.
And emotionally.
Which I guess in a lot of ways that's the way the body works, where you hear about it and it sounds strange, but throwing your back out will give you a bunch of other problems, even make you sick.
Yes.
And so oftentimes by fixing one kind of what seems to be minor thing can have a chain reaction of fixing a few other things, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So,
I mean, if you don't feel physically healthy, and because mental and emotional are not tangible things we can put our fingers on, and our physical bodies we tend to think we give more attention to the physical because we can actually touch it. The mental and emotional, it's not something how do I actually touch my mental state, but yet it's happening. And so if you're not well physically, that spills over emotionally and mentally, and vice versa.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. So get healthy and you'll get happier, essentially.
Definitely.
There's no way you can get fit and be more miserable because of that.
No, even your body lets out beautiful chemicals that actually cheer you up, and then you look you look and feel good. You dress, people say dress for success, but for me that's not just putting on a nice jacket. And when I'm training and lifting weights, I'm dressing for success. They're just muscles, right?
I like that.
All right, so I feel good when you feel strong, you look strong, you think strong, you're emotionally strong. So my dress for success is like, okay, I'm going to do another couple of sets on my chest or my arms because I'm dressing for success, right?
Right.
What's underneath the hood? Yeah.
The two of the most powerful words in the English language are I am.
Mm-hmm.
Starting with saying I am, what would you say right after those two words?
I am the person that I want to be.
That's a pretty powerful statement.
Yeah.
So you're in a good place.
I'm in a good place.
Any parting thoughts on anything, really? Riff off. Let the world hear a few of your thoughts.
You know, the parting thoughts I'd like to share with everybody is that, and my sister often says, okay, Stewart, you're not going to say this line again, but I'm going to say this line again because it means a lot to me, is that we don't have a lot of time to be who we are. So be who you are starting today.